This is an Urbanary interview. Urbanary. The podcast exploring how we understand and live urban spaces.
Today, helping us frame the issue of caporalato in Puglia, and more specifically in Borgo Mezzanone, we have Olmo Parenti and Marco Zannoni. They are documentary filmmakers who, along with some friends, have formed a collective called A Think By. They produce a variety of content, from music videos to documentaries. They started with a documentary called Not Everything is Black, and from there they naturally became interested in the phenomenon of caporalato in June 2020, right after George Floyd was killed in Minneapolis, a moment where there was heightened global awareness of African American rights in the US. Through their research, they discovered the issue of caporalato. Initially, they created a short version of the documentary, but they continued returning to the field for a year, eventually producing One Day, which is available online. For us, their documentary was key to understanding how people live and use informal spaces, how they build a community, and how this place is perceived by those who inhabit it. We are interviewing you because of the documentary you did, One Day, that discussed about caporalato and the, let's say, physicality of this phenomenon, so the presence of informal settlement and how people live within this settlement. And I'm wondering, why did you decide to discuss about this phenomena? And again, maybe both as a person, but also as a collective of people.
We became interested in, we became interested in the phenomenon in June 2020, right after George Floyd was killed in Minneapolis. And there seemed to be lots of awareness around the rights of African American people in the US. And we learned about people in the South, but honestly, all around Italy, working in the crops and, being undocumented and not having the rights they were supposed to have. And we started wondering why, most people were so interested in fighting for the rights of African Americans living thousands of miles away from where we live in Italy. And why not as many people were interested in defending the rights of those who were providing food for all of us. And so we traveled down to Borgo Mezzanone, which is half an hour away from Foggia in northern Puglia. And we began shooting what we thought would be a short project over there. But after shooting for about a week and coming back home and putting together a short version of the film, we decided we needed more time. We realized we weren't doing justice to the people we had filmed. And so we continued going back there for the following year and ended up making One Day, which ended up being much, much longer than what we initially thought.
We just came down for a week, and then we're gonna get there, but we are still going there after like 4 years, more or less. So yeah, it's a thing that we are documentarists, so we have always trying to understand things more than, I would say, normal people, but just because we are curious, and that is probably the secret of this job. So making question about yourself in a place that people always is like, no, it's like that. It's like that. If you go there, if you know a place, you can say a thing is like that. If you just hear it, stories, you never know where it's the true, no? So obviously we read the things, we watch it, we study a little bit before to go down there, and yeah, we understood that it was a ghetto but you don't really can understand the sites, the what's going on exactly inside there. No, basically because, like, let's say journalists, they don't have enough time to spend there. We got this privilege that we need time to understand things, and then we can tell the story. So yeah, I mean, I was there expecting obviously a ghetto. But yeah, I mean, when you get there, you start to become friends of people. You start to understand how things goes and all of this. So I always advise people to come and to see the ghetto, or to see things before to speaking about. It's not a dissing. It's like an advice, I would say. So yeah, we get there, we fall in love, and we are still there. So yeah, probably for the rest of our life
At this point.
at this point.
Okay, so for the people who may have not watched your movie yet, and maybe will do after, can you briefly describe what is Borgo Mezzanone and what is called La Pista? I think it would be nice to understand this place again through your direct observation of the space, but also as from the story you heard and you told in your documentary. So maybe just give a sort of frame of this place.
So La Pista in Borgo Mezzanone is a typical informal settlement, which we and the people who live there often refer to as ghetto. It hosts anywhere between 2,000 and 3,500 people, depending on the season. Mostly migrant people coming from Western Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa in general. Mostly people working in the crops, mostly people undocumented who migrated to Italy in search of asylum, who sought asylum but couldn't get it, and that remained in Italy trying to make ends meet. These are people that don't necessarily have an alternative place where they could go. The fact that they're undocumented makes it very difficult for them to build a life in any formal situation. So anywhere where you'd need to basically have a contract and rent a house. This is mostly due to the fact that by not having documents, they can't have a work contract, and without having a work contract, they struggle to have a house contract, and this creates a cycle of basically a cycle that leads these people to continue living in the pista. It's called La Pista because La Pista in Italian means airstrip. It used to be an Air Force airstrip until the 90s, after which it was abandoned. And now it's basically two giant, very long cement roads, which are covered by hundreds of small shacks made with waste and materials that these people could easily get their hands on. So anything from old furniture, which they could use the scrapped wood from, to metal sheets, and in the best of cases, cheap bricks that they used to make small homes. There's basically everything you could imagine to find in a small village, from supermarkets to bars, restaurants, hairdressers, brothels. I guess that's something you wouldn't find in your average town. But they've created basically a parallel society that can sustain itself through the work of those who go work in the crops, and everybody else feeds off of the money that those people bring back into the community. And yes, it's been expanding since the 90s, and every year it gets a little bigger.
Yeah, I'm gonna add just this thing that um, let's imagine to be in Foggia, that is a town, like everybody knows a town. Then you take a car and you drive 20 minutes from a small village that's called Borgo Mezzanone. And then from there you have like 10, 15 minutes of very bad roads, off-road, that you slowly get inside the pista, and then you just like airplane, you go all the way down to the pista, and you start to see small houses, and then you get inside the ghetto, the Borgo Mezzanone ghetto. I think most of us, also when some friends come with us to see Borgo Mezzanone, that moment is from when you leave Borgo Mezzanone until you get inside the ghetto is maybe the more hard part, where your sentiments are going so fast, because you don't know what to expect when you get there. You don't know what is a ghetto because you never been there. So your mind is starting to see, no? And then in a second you are not let's say in Italy anymore, but you are in a part of Africa that is completely close by, is completely inside our country. But yeah, you don't see anymore the Italian culture, the houses. You start to be in another part of the world. When you get there, when you see and you pass the first 5 minutes inside the ghetto, you understand very, very fast that it's not a place that you used to imagine. It's not a place where you get there and they will kill you, or they want to rob you, or they want to... No, you're gonna find the opposite way. I mean, doesn't mean you don't have to keep your eyes open like any place in the world, but everybody wants to say hello to you. Everybody wants to know why you are there. They are curious, like we are curious to them. So this is the first time. I remember the first time that me and Olmo we went there. We just arrived driving my car, and obviously you say impossible. This is impossible that exists in Italy, but it's impossible because if we have some kind of decision, politics decision that we are using, when you get there, you say, oh my God, we are hiding them in the middle of the fields where nobody can see them. But the Italian government, the government bring their water, give them electricity somehow, and so it's perfectly a place that is known. Where is there, who is there, they know everything. Police used to come over there also because there is the border is between the ghetto and the centro di accoglienza, so it's not a secret place. It's not a place that the Italian government doesn't know. And that's the thing more interesting, that is not an emergency, because emergency is things happen and you tomorrow you try to figure it out how to fix the problem as fast as you can, giving the first resort. But this thing is have been starting around the 90s. So it's already, let's say, 35. We are in the 2025, so it's more or less around 35 years. And the thing that make me more angry in general when we speaking about this topic is we are famous in the world because our food, because we are saying our made in Italy is the best in the world, and we should take care in this thing. But then who is picking the best vegetables in the world, the tomatoes, taking care about the animals, people that we don't want in Italy, basically. So that is a thing that make me crazy. I just get long, sorry.
Oh, don't worry. Actually, also the frame of you get there with the car, etc., was very interesting also for us, like studying the space. But I want to ask you something that also came out during the screening that you all explained very well, and I'd like you to re-explain for the podcast. So while we were researching about this place, but more generally about the phenomena, we understood that there is a duality between, and it's something also that actually came out from Marco's words now, between temporariness of this place, so the fact that they are considered a temporary settlement, but at the same time it is how to say, control as a permanent space. So there is the fact through the informality that you don't want this place as a state, as a government, as a policy makers or whatever. But at the same time, you need this place to be permanent because you need people taking the food and whatever. So there is this duality, and I'd like you to share a bit of your insight about this discussion. Also, maybe not just from your point of view, but also from how the people live this duality.
I'm gonna say only one thing that for me it's a good resume of this. If we don't want that place, if we don't want that people, if why we are bringing water, why we are giving them electricity, that's a thing. I mean, if in Emilia Romagna something happened, you have to bring them the first things that they need to survive, or when everywhere something happened. But from like 30 years you are bringing their water. That's mean if you allowed, I'm not saying, I mean, I'm the opposite political thinking, obviously, but the question is, if we are giving them water, that is completely right for me. That's mean we need that place. We keep like this. We give them the minimum of the things that they need to survive, and for us it's okay. This is, I think, that make me say, I mean, if you don't want to take care about them, don't take care about them at all. If you want to take them, do in the right way.
Yeah, if you imagine yourself being in the middle of an emergency, whatever it may be, a flood, an earthquake, a big fire, you could probably imagine people scrambling to get their hands on the resources that they need to stay alive in the moment. And visually speaking, this probably translates to big jugs of water, makeshift ways to get electricity from one place to another, and so forth. And these solutions, which are solutions that we usually use in an emergency, are the same solutions that have been used in this ghetto for many, many years now. So in that sense, it feels like government is trying to keep this weird balance between not abandoning these people completely, but at the same time not finding a long-term solution for their living conditions. And I have a feeling, having been there, that this is probably the easiest and most convenient solution for government, because on the one hand, they don't have to find a place to these people. They don't have to find an alternative to where they're living. And on the other hand, by keeping them, by keeping them alive, literally, they are still providing for local entrepreneurs cheap labor to keep people going into the crops. I think this has been happening for so long that it has become commonplace. And I think every party, every politician that has been in charge from 20 years till today has not had any incentive to find a long-term solution for this. Basically, they have a ticking time bomb that they're bouncing from one hand to the other, and they know that at some point it will explode. But the best thing that they can do is hope that it will explode in somebody else's hands, a few years from now. I guess a good visual metaphor for all of this is when you sweep dust under a carpet, it doesn't disappear. I mean, you just can't see it, and it's under the carpet. this is literally what we're doing. We're piling up dust under the carpet. We're piling up frustration and anger in these people because we're treating it like an emergency instead of a new reality.
Yeah, obviously, we are. I mean, we are not doing any spoiler about the movie, but most of these reflection they are inside the movie. That I think that maybe we should add, Olmo, is that being a documentarist is not. There is a huge difference because we go there trying to understand the thing that takes a lot of time. Everywhere we go, with the idea to do a documentary about a thing, when you meet the place, you meet the people, you go there, you understand a lot of things. A lot of it's not black and white. A lot, how we like to say, is always gray. Very different parts of the gray. So there are this kind of point of view inside the movie that you should watch. Because there we got the time to have a good explanation, and yeah, I mean, this is what I wanted to add actually, but I also wanted to add that this, in the ghetto where we have been, that Borgo Mezzanone, is not the only one in Italy, it's not the only one in Europe. So this is one of the most, let's say, big and famous, because many news happening, bad news happening in this Borgo Mezzanone, in La Pista. So it's a phenomenon that is spread open. Many people is in this situation, and again, the thing that I would like to think about it is, if you live in a situation like that. One of the main guys in the movie, he slept in a car for like 5 years. If you are enough strong to live like that for 5 years or more, you don't want to lose your life doing stupid things, but still without documents, still without a house, still without a shower, still living in the winter in Puglia that is not hot as I thought before to go there. So the solution, there are a lot, but one of the main things that we can discuss about rights, the government that give the water, but at the end, to these people, if you don't give them the opportunity to have the documents, to get involved or the normal life like everybody, how they can do. I mean, you can tell them, go and find a work, go and find a house. I mean, they can do it because they have working and saving money, because they don't have a rent. They cannot rent. They cannot have a right job. They are very the shadow side, a huge business that everybody's making money on it, on the skin of the people. That's a thing that really make me. If you give them a document, not in some way, you give them the chance to get inside the Italia, in the real Italia, to get inside the social life. In that way, they will be always the last of our country, because they are in our country.
Yeah, there's no political incentive. Scusami Giulia, dicevo un'altra cosa. There's no political incentive to take care of the problem and grant these people what they honestly deserve. There's no political incentive because these people obviously don't vote. And up until these people don't cause any harm or disturb to those who do vote, nobody's going to be voting for them or for their rights. So that's why you have a place like La Pista in Borgo Mezzanone, because that place is a place that nobody wants to be in. Nobody gets to see those people. Those people don't have a right to speak for themselves, and nobody will do anything for them because nobody knows that they're even there to begin with. So it can only go one of two ways. We either are good enough at talking about this, making it known, and get people to begin fighting for other people's rights, or we wait long enough until people get so frustrated and people begin to feel like they have nothing to lose, that they will come into our cities. They will get in contact with us. They will disrupt our lives, and it will become impossible to turn the other way. And I really hope that we can make it happen in the first way, because the second way is what you see happening in any place where you have a civil war or civil unrest, and it doesn't look pretty.
Right.
Okay. Another question that actually arose from watching your documentary is that even though it's temporary settlement, not temporary, but it's treated as a temporary settlement, is, as you said, treated as an emergency and etc. It's pretty clear that inside it is the people inside created a sort of community that for them it's kind of their second home, or even sometimes, from what I understood, it became the primary home. So I think it is maybe very small distinction between being or not being a community in this kind of settlement setting, but I think it carries a profound meaning if we consider this place as a community. So, like, it's not really a question, but it's mainly a reflection on how mainly how this sense of community is created and experienced by those living in there, and also by external who go there, like you did.
Julia, look, everybody knows all around the world and all in the big countries of the world, Little Italy, right? So when we used to move from Italia, because we needed to move, we always, let's say, make a Little Italy that is a small neighbor somewhere. It's a huge neighbor somewhere else. Why we did this? Because even if we move to look for something better, I'm just imagining New York, America, where else? We like to spend time with the people that think like us, speak like us. We like the same food. It's the same over there. I mean, it's a place where you don't find a Italian. You are not the only black in a white country looking to you, but you are all in the same position, all in the same thing. You eat the same. You have the same ways to laugh. You have the same way to resolve problems. It obviously is difficult to go out from there because it's safe. I mean, it's a feeling. It's safe to be in a place where everybody's in your position. More than go out without knowing what's going on outside there, and it's easy because there, if you there you have friends, you can get job. I mean, I'm a friend of Olmo is a friend of Julia. So if someone have to call someone to go work in the fields, they will call me. It's a community. So in this side, everybody is very, very, very close. But obviously, we don't have to confuse that Africa is not doesn't mean Italia, but it's mean a country. So there are people from Ghana, Senegal, Nuova Guinea. So any country is a different country. It's not the same because it's just Africa. It's a thing that is missing, I think, when we're speaking about these kind of things. So obviously, Little Italy is made by Italians. It's not made by Belgium and Spain and where else. But that's the thing. Obviously, it's a place where there is poor people. Basically, they didn't have home, so it's easy that something happen between them, basically because of money. But that's happening in any country in the world. And when you are so desperate to don't find a way out to go there, you start to become crazy. There is upside in the movie. that a friend of us, Mike, after a long time that we wanted to speak with him, he gave us this thing. He was like, I'm living here with my brothers. We are having fun. We are going to work. When winter is coming and work is going is becoming very low, obviously you start to be hungry. And when one day you don't eat, 2 days you don't eat, the third day you have to fix this problem. So yeah, I Giulia, really invite you to come and to spend some time in Borgo Mezzanone to understand all of this.
Sorry, I forget what your question was to begin with.
I mean, it's mainly a reflection about being a community, not just an informal segment. Yeah.
Yeah, I think anytime you're living in harsh conditions, anytime you are struggling to make ends meet, and you're struggling to find safety, you find safety in those who are living in similar conditions. And of course, I think that other than culture, this is what is tying all of these people together. I think there's a very strong desire by a lot of the people that we met in the film to engage with people outside of their community, to engage with Italians, to learn the language, to go live in a normal place. But I think that at the same time, there's also a very strong desire for certainty because they've lived through like such uncertain times for so many years. I think sometimes even the possibility of moving somewhere safer or quote unquote more developed is something that scares them, because even if that place, even if Borgo Mezzanone, even if La Pista are inhumane, even if they're very difficult places to live in, their certainty in their life. It's something they know. It's something they're somewhat comfortable in. And in many other cases, they will choose that over the possibility of having something better, but that they have no idea what it's going to be like. And so in that sense, I think community is one of the most important things for them. And it has stopped being a very important thing for us, I think. You know, the moment your life is above a certain level of quality, you tend to close in, right? Like we live in Milan, we don't know, the person across the hallway in our building, because we don't need to, because we think we can sustain ourselves based on what we have. That's not true in their case, and I think. And I think that's why community becomes so important for them.
Bravo.
Another question that I have that came out also in this case in the screening, and it's visible while watching your documentary. It's that you told me, to concentrate on men because women has a specific way of living this place. But I'm wondering if you can briefly explain why you decide that, and so why women are experiencing this place in a different way. Very briefly, just to understand the role of women in this context.
Yeah, I'm gonna make short. The thing is, when you go in a place like that, the things that you can speak about, there are millions of millions, and somehow you have to like choose what you want to tell, because you need time to understand, to explain, as I said before. We started obviously doing this thing, imaging the people working the fields. So when we get there, we very fast understood that the number of women and men inside the ghetto was very different. I mean, let's say 1 to 10, one woman, 10 men. It's not true that we did not try to tell also the woman side inside a ghetto, inside this kind of life, but we were basically not good enough to finish this side. We were not happy to the thing that we collect during this period. Also because obviously it's complicated to get involved with a man and a woman. The man side, the males are very base. Now we speak about football, and in 5 seconds we become not friends, but we can have something to speak about it. So this is the main thing. And the second, I will say that the woman inside the ghetto, they live even worse than the guys. Most of them, they are prostitutes. So yeah, the situation is complicated. We were not good enough, and when we used to go in the schools, in the cinemas showing one day we were always asking for woman that want to complete this part of the docu.
Was there something else we're missing that you wanted to hear?
I think maybe just one last question and one prompt. The question is that we as a research group are wondering what is our role as academic to discuss complex phenomena in a way that it's more accessible to the external people. So we tend to use very difficult languages based mainly on data and objectivities that are maybe not good for discussing with the rest of the people. And through this podcast, what we are trying to do is to reduce this distance. So my question is related also to the fact that you use documentary to discuss a very complex phenomena that has inside different kind of levels. So what is for you the role that both in your case, but more specifically in our case as academic, can have in reducing this gap in the way we explain stuff?
I mean, it's almost
Thank you for this question.
I'd say it's almost an art to be able to make difficult things simple without them losing what makes them important. I think it's one of the biggest challenges of our time to talk about important things and make them relevant for most people. I don't have an answer as to how one does that, but I think we have to always start by asking ourselves this as a question: how do I make a story about something that's most likely very very far from the audience that I'm trying to reach? How do I make it relevant? How do I make it interesting? And sometimes, how do I cheat my audience into wanting to hear about this story? How do I turn what I'm trying to talk about into a fun experience? It's what you do with kids and medicine. After all, if the medicine tastes bad, you hide it into something that's a bit sweeter, so that they'll take the medicine and they won't even realize. And I think this is a form of art that we are now more than ever, required to give thinking to. I think our job, for example, as directors and filmmakers, has changed a bunch in the last 10 to 20 years, because our job is not just to make films anymore. Our job is to make films and understand how that film will will make people passionate about what we're trying to talk about amid the mountains of noise and content and production that there is all of the time. I think, you're in academia, so you're talking to audiences that are much more selected, much more niche, people that get to what you're making with a genuine curiosity towards the world. So in a sense, you have an easier job. But I think this is definitely a conversation that you should be having with those academics themselves. Everyone can be a teacher, and we can't all be very passionate about every important thing happening in the world, but we can choose one and decide to become very good at communicating to others why that thing should be on our mind, even just a minute a day or once in a lifetime. And if we all do it, if we were all really passionate about one thing and spent time trying to get other people on the same page, I think we'd be living in a very different place. And maybe right now is not the moment when all of this happens, but maybe, in 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 years, it will become something that characterizes humans once again.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna say the same thing that I say before. We are not academics, so we cannot explain to you which is the best way to convince your kind of target to talk about this kind of question. How Olmo said that's the right thing. I mean, you have a different kind, people that are more probably interested in topics like that. Where I'm maybe I'm happy to advise you. It's really sometimes to take the time to go and see with your eyes, to smell with your nose, and to feel the things that you cannot see in a movie, you cannot see in a documentary, you cannot see in a podcast, you cannot see. The only way to understand feelings and some kind of things that I cannot even explain is to be in that place. When you get there, you don't need that much time to spend, to get inside, get involved, and have the feeling, say, okay, I understood this place, what they tell me, Marco and Olmo, 6 months ago. Because words are words, videos are videos, and what else. But if you go there and you spend one day, you eat some good chicken and rice, you have a good cafe, and you chill with some friends over there, I'm sure you're gonna have more, probably you come back with more questions that you have now.
Yeah. I think whether it's a podcast or a film, try to make it as fun as you can, because people don't like heavy stuff.
Yeah.
And at the same time, make sure that it's a starting point and not an end point. Make sure that people will want to, do something more after they've gone through what you made.
And this is gonna be the last question, almost. What do you mean with don't make it like a start point, almost?
You're asking me the question instead of Julia.
Yeah, she's gonna do the same question, right?
Well, I mean, we with the film, the film was a starting point, and we didn't know that it was a starting point when we made it, but it ended up being the starting point for something bigger, which was opening a school that tackles one of the issues that is outlined in the film. So basically, we opened a school in the name of one of the characters of the film, where we teach migrant people Italian, and we teach the local population English. And this is an attempt on our part to bring people closer together. But when I mean don't make a podcast or a film the end point of a story, I mean it more for the audience. I don't think that we're doing our job well if people finish listening to this podcast or, our next film thinking they know everything about a specific topic. what we do shouldn't quench the thirst of curiosity. It should only make it grow bigger. Mostly because nobody holds 100% of the truth when it comes to anything. We all have to go and dive deeper into a topic and find a personal truth. And so I think with anything that we make, it should be, the match that lights the fire, but not the fire itself.
I would like to add a little bit on Scuola Fatoma, and then, guys, actually, me and Olmo in 5 minutes we have another meeting. But what Olmo said is very interesting, because we didn't know when we started that's the end of the movie. For us, it was like, we do a movie, we did a movie. Actually, in the beginning, when we were showing the movie, the people was, you did a great movie, but now what you gonna do? And we were like, guys, we spend a year and a half in the middle of these places. What do you mean? What you gonna do? Like, I have to take the responsibility of all of this. I'm sharing with you, and we should get involved together and start to do something. Obviously, is not always possible, but at the end, for a sad story, Scuola Fatoma started a year and 8 months ago, if I'm not wrong. We wanted to. We feel so bad. One of the guys died in a car accident. He was Thomas was our one of the best friends over there. The guy that we spend more time together. He was not in the ghetto. He was in the middle of the fields. So also we like it to relax a little bit when we go there, if we can call it relax. He allowed to do crazy things with him. He bring us in the fields. That is not very allowed. He allowed us to take a shower of him in the place we took a shower. This scene inside the movie. He make a lot of us. So we were like, we have to give you Thomas back something. So we started a school. We started like are you sure, Olmo, Giacomo, Maddalena, Carlo? We really want to open a school. It's 1,000 kilometers of our place. It's gonna be complicated, but we jump inside because let's say some guys push more, like Giacomo, that now is the president of Scuola Fatoma, and we started with 2 classes. After 1 month, we got 4. And now we have, after a year and 8 months, we have like 5. It's open from Monday to Saturday. We only close the Sunday. And we have 1,000 of students every week. We also teach English. 100, quanto ho detto? 1,000? 100. And also we have we teach English to the kids from the Borgo Mezzanone village. So we started that we wanted to teach Italian, but then we understood that we were doing things for everybody, for Italians, for Africans, for a mix of blanched people. And now we started with a story of on Instagram, so we didn't do so crazy things to open a thing like that. And now we are like, almost, correct me if I'm not wrong, like 6 people that they're working in Foggia full time, and then it's us that we are more or less other 6, 7 that we are spread open. Someone is in Rome, someone is in Milan. That we work in, not in the like teaching or doing all this, the direttore della scuola, all of this. We are more in the side of communication, taking money, and all of that stuff. But I was one of the guys saying, if we're gonna do this, our life will change, and I was a bit scary of that. But when I arrived the first time in Scuola Fatoma, and I see a class plenty of 20 huge African guys that they were studying on the books, Italian, that I said to myself, probably I have to say thank you to the other guys that they push a lot from me to do this, because probably one of the things that emotion me in my life. So yeah, it's that's why we invite you. Come, Giulia and Alessandro, to have sometimes with Scuola Fatoma, and you will see that you will live the academics life, and you will come to Scuola Fatoma. I'm joking.
Urbinary is produced in collaboration with Polyradio and the Department of Architecture and Urban Studies at Politecnico di Milano.